Hi, I'm back. This is Shirley, and this is Resolution of the Heart. This little episode, this is the part where I want to share with you my library, and I love books. I fell out of love with books. Maybe during the last say maybe the 3 years out of the 5 years, and recently, since I said I found my place uh, spiritually where I belong. I have taken up reading again. And in the past, it was just basically like reading. Um, I used to read the Bible, but then I'd read a lot of self help books, a lot of motivational books. And as I've gotten older, I understand why. So I'm going to share some of the books that I have now on my shelf. Um, some of them I've read. I don't think they're all up here because I have so many books. What you see is only like a little bit of what I have. I have some in my bedroom. I have some books right here that you'll see. I have some books hidden in two different places. I got a lot of books, you guys, and not enough me and not enough me to get it done, but I am reading the ones that I need to read. So what I'm going to do is turn you around, share the books that I have and the current book that I'm reading. And I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to preach to you because I am not a preacher. My name is Shirley and I'm a simple person, okay? I'm doing the best that I can. I'm learning as I continue to get older, I continue to learn, and I'm thankful that I have that ability because some people as they get older, they think, and some younger people, this is who I am and that's all it is to it. Well, that's a lie. Because we are always learning. Why? Because we're always changing. Every time your body change, you change. Every time the world is going through a change, you change. So I'm going to share my little library with you. And then I'm going to sit down in my kitchen and read a book because it's better lighting. And because recently there was a flood in the room, and it's a little bit hard for me to stay in there long. So give me 1 second. Okay, I am back. Now, here are some of my books. These books here was donated to me by my mentor, which um, I started reading. I am reading the first one here. These are called the Srimad Bhagavatam books. Um, I started reading this one here. I think that's number one. Yeah, that's number one. And there's a set of, sorry, going so fast, a set of 10. And there's more down here. And here's a picture of me at work. That was a few years ago. And some of the other books prior to becoming, I've always read prior to uh, joining the Bhakti community. I have this book here by The Power of the Myth by Joseph Campbell. I read that one, a different one. I haven't read this one. This book here opened my eyes, and I kept it. Some of them I've thrown away. Three Magic Words. This was an excellent book here. I also have Joseph Campbell. This is another one of his. I always like to know why and where things come from. This was an illustration book, The Myths, right here. I have this Reader's Digest Bible right here. I haven't really looked in this one. I have this Race, the History of the Idea in the West. I haven't read that one. I have this big cross here. Not that it mean anything to me, but I thought it was very cute when I found it. And it's a symbol, whatever. Then I have this one here, A Fire in the Mind by Joseph Campbell. I also have The World Before Columbus, The Final Journey, Complete Hospice Care for Departing Vasinevas. This one, I haven't really started it because I'm actually working it and living. This one I thought was an interesting Bible. So you can see that I collect books like I used to collect Buddhas. The Cycle Bible. I thought, wow, what's that about? Never read it. I think I looked into it, and I don't know. This one here is from a a devotee chasing the rhino. I haven't read that because I feel like before I read any other books, I want to read all the books from Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, which is the founder of the um, ISKCON movement, for lack of a better word. You know, and above that is all the acharyas, and above that is God, okay? And this one here, I haven't read, Beyond Illusion and Doubt. This was my very first book, and so I kept it. I had never heard anything like this one before. Um, I think this was my very starting point right here. This is after I fell out of the religion that I was in. This was called Freedom, from Freedom, the Ties That Bind. And this was Guy Finley. He used to be on TV when I had cable, long time ago, many years. My granddaughter was just a baby. So that was the really one that started it. So that one. Then I have the Myth and Symbols of Ancient Egypt. This is one from a devotee, Closing the App, How to Be Mindful at Work and at Home. I had started it, but then, like I said, I changed my mind, decided, no, I'm going to read Prabhupada's book first. This one I completed, Life Comes from Life. This one I read, wait a minute, Spiritual Warrior. I read, and I think I didn't go all the way through. Looked like I stopped on page 47 because I don't know. I like to get it. I like to get it from the person, from the source, and then I can come back and read other people's breakdown of it and how it applied to them and how it helped them to look at it a certain way. This book I actually read. This was a good book. Self-Realization. I haven't read that one. This book I read. Oh my goodness, this was the last book that I read. Oh, this is an excellent book. It's called The Second Chance, and the story of a near-death experience. And this is by the founder, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder of the International Society of Krishna Conscious. This one I read. What are these? No, those are not books. Haven't read this one. I think, did I read this one? This one here was very good because what I found out in this book is that Martin Luther King had went over to India, and you know he followed Gandhi. This one I did finish reading, and I like marking my books, and I know it's not good, and I have this thing, well, it's my book, and it's how I learn. So I have some books that will be for show, like this one here. I've read this book, but I read the big volume one. But I've read this book. We just completed reading this book, and we will continue going through these books. This is the book that you guys want to read, the Bhagavad Gita as it is. This book right here, and reading this and having a devotee, having a bona fide guru or master with you, this one here will open your eyes. This book I read all the way through. I think I may have read this twice. Okay, this was a good book. This was prior to my coming in contact with Bhakti. Sorry, y'all. This book right here, I liked it because I used to be, as you guys know, I don't know what's happening to my phone. As you guys know, I used to be in sales, and I like books like that. I haven't read it, but it's an older book. And like I said, I used to collect books, and I read a lot of them. I did that one. This one right here, Transcendence, Finding Peace at the End of Life. This one, I think I read it all, or maybe not. I have the paper in it, so I didn't because I like to take notes. Beyond every lesson, there is a wonderful journey. I haven't read that. Like I said in here, sorry, I read this one. Actually, I'm reading this one. And let me see. This one I read some parts of this one. Not quite ready for that. I don't think I read all of this. I know I didn't. No, I stopped here. Because I think I stopped when I actually studying with going to the classes with Bhakti. So that curtailed a lot of my personal reading like that, and trying to focus in on what I should be learning. Now this book here is a very good book. This was way before Wake Up and Live. This was an excellent book. This really was a good book. Then this book here, I don't know what this book is. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. I read a lot of Dale Carnegie books. A lot of people who were in sales, because I was in real estate. So I read a lot of books like this. This Uncle Raymond's book, everybody knows that. Trying to get it to focus. Uncle Raymond's book. Okay, I didn't read it, but I know that it's a good book. Yeah. So that book there. Then, of course, you have to have, making a mess, Maya Angelou, Complete Collected Poems. Okay, I'm going to have to straighten this up. Then, of course, Muhammad Ali, A View from the Corner. This book here was an excellent book. This is by Dr. I dug graves at night to attend college by Jay Ferguson. I think I read a few of his books. Very good books. Very good writer. This one here, The Will to Live. I don't know how far I got in this one. Probably not far because I still see the paper there. And this book by Terry McMillan. I don't know if I read this book or not. Oh, A Day Late and $1 Short. I did read that book. That was a good book. I don't read many books like that. I did read that. Hold on. Okay, so you guys seen my little library, a portion of it. Everything else is hidden, okay? I have nowhere to hide anything else anymore. I am still trying to get rid of stuff. It is so hard because I really loved books many, many years ago. And I've gotten rid of a lot of books. My son has books that and videos from way back when, like when we moved here. I mean, we moved out of a house. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with downstairs, okay, a garage and more downstairs where you can actually expand and grow. No, I take that back. That was the first one. The second one was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house with a downstairs, which we didn't put anything. It was a laundry. There was a little washing machine, I think, that we took with us, or it was down there. I don't know that you could do your laundry, but still it was bigger than what I'm in now, which is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. And I brought all the stuff with us. So over the last few years, I've been getting rid of stuff. My stuff, my husband's stuff. I still have stuff here that was my kids. I have things that my grandkids had that was in here that I had to get rid of. And then my big accumulation of books. I had accumulated a lot of Buddhas that I've gotten rid of a few. There is one that my daughter gave me. That's a big Buddha that I have. And I have a few Buddhas that is still around and about the house. I'm an avid, I would say, an avid collector of Buddha's books and art. So I have a lot of pictures, some that are on the wall that I got permission. Because you know, in California, they want you to live like you in prison. They don't want you to have anything on your wall. They say, like, we don't want holes in our wall. Okay. But anyway, when I got here, like maybe 6 months later, the landlord said, you know, you can put some pictures on the wall, but we just don't want you to have, like, you know, people to make big holes and all that stuff. So I do have pictures on every wall practically. And so I love art. And now, since I've been collecting, since I've been doing these little minis, I have these little mini rooms that I've been working on. And I need to show you guys how I have that set. And I have one more that I'm working on. It's practically finished. I just need to sit down and do it. And the thing is, I'm going to have a book that we're going to be reading, and I'm going to be reading just the introduction today. It's the laws of nature and infallible justice. And then on the back of it, I'll read the back of it to you. And hopefully it will whet your appetite to stay with me. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Why is one person rich and the other another poor? One exploiter and another is exploited. One a victim and another victimized. In the law of nature and infallible justice, we learn who's pulling the strings and why, based on two classics of ancient Vedic wisdom, the Upanishads and the Srimad Bhagavatam. The law of nature explores the age-old mystery surrounding karma, reincarnation, free will, destiny, enlightenment, and liberation. What more, it shows us how we can practice the technique of yoga and meditation to cut the bonds of karma and achieve complete freedom, happiness, and spiritual perfection. So how did that sound to you guys? The introduction is a small book. It is only 92 pages. I started a while back, but actually I've been a little busy. I thought that, like, you know, like I've been saying, this feeling of boredom I've never had before. You know, I think because I'm going through another change. Um, I like when I go to clients, and some of them they're just, you know, they're just watching TV. So I thought I would pull out the book and read while they're just doing that. But I'm finding myself being very bored with it. I need more. I need to use my mind. You know, my mind has been, for the last 5 years, has been on, the first 3 years have been on complete shutdown. I was on automatic pilot. I went to work. I took care of everything that I need, as far as keeping a roof over my head. You know, the basic necessities of life, and did a whole lot of crying. And then there was other issues that was pushing on me from the outside world. But by the last 2 years, when I actually came in contact with Bhakti Yoga, everything started changing and turning around. When I start listening and learning from a true, I know people don't like the word, from a true guru or a true devotee of God. And by doing that, I've changed. I have this inner peace. Not always now. There's times, well, it's a lot better now. I'm gonna say, because it's a whole lot better. There's one point at the end of last year, you guys, I shared with you that I just was not in the mood for Christmas. I was just like, yeah, was not having it, did not feel it. It wasn't part of who I was, who I am. So then, even right now, I see everyone amping up for Valentine's. Just not in it, I'm just not in the mood of the world. Okay, it's all good for those who want to, and it is good for me if I decide I want to do it later, or I can greet somebody happy Valentine or whatever it is. But I'm just not into that mood to go rushing off to the store, spending my money on buying a bunch of Valentine stuff for what? Okay, to keep the system going. Well, that is a nice thing, but it's not where I'm at. So, I have changed a lot, and I'm very, very happy about that. I feel good inside, even though things may be around me that's just, it doesn't matter anymore. Okay. Um, as I said before, I realize that I am an empath. I'm very empathetic. And as you grow older, and as I grow older, and as I look at my life I can see all that. But sometimes it takes that span. Well, for me, it took that span. And once you know some things about yourself, then you don't have to respond and act a particular way. And I'm just tired of being like with the holidays. Holiday come, they say jump, jump. How high do you want to jump? You can jump little and just buy these, you know, buy little sweetheart this and sweetheart candies, or you can jump high and go way out on the limb and just make it the most perfect day of the year or one of the perfect days. Well, I'm not in the jumping stage. And something happened. Just share a little quick story with you. I was in the sorry, I was in the when I went to the doctor to get the blood work done, now because of COVID, you got to go through this line, and there's a guy at the elevator. You can only let so many people in the elevator at a time. And I just said, well, Happy New Year. And he sort of looked at me, I guess, because it's sort of 15th, you know, was so happy about it now. And I thought, and I looked at him and I thought that's funny, but I just went on and ignored him. And I just said, well, Happy New Year. And he said, oh, Happy Friday, okay? And so what I saw was how quick this gratification is. We pump ourselves up so to run out and spend our money we have or money we don't have. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but we run out like the little hamsters in a cage. We're constantly trying to catch this. We're trying to catch that carrot, I guess. And as soon as we catch it, it's over and we're back to our regular old Happy Friday. You know what I mean? Mentality. And I thought that was extremely funny because it's like, how quick was that? How quick do we forget? One minute we're, ooh, and then the next minute we're like, oh, we're back to ourselves. So, excuse me making these expressions. So, I just thought that was very interesting. Okay. So, anyway, I'm not on the bandwagon of trying to do the Valentine thing at all. I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling the world like I used to feel it, okay? Still there, wanting to be there for family, for friends, for those who want to know the truth. Sincere people, but I'm just really not into the other stuff. So all that is said, which means really, let's get on with it. So we're just going to do the introduction. Now, the introduction starts with man prides himself on being a creature of reason above the lowly beast, yet it seems that when he applies his reason to unlocking the secrets of nature for his benefit, he sinks deeper and deeper into a quagmire of intractable problems. The eternal combustion engine gets us where we're going faster, but as but also results in choking, air pollution, the greenhouse effect, and a dangerous dependence on oil. Harnessing the atom gives us cheap energy, but also leads to weapons of mass destruction, Chernobyl, and a rising tide of dangerous radioactive waste. Modern agro-businesses produce a dizzying variety of abundance of food at the supermarket, but also result in the death of family farms. The pollution of groundwater, the loss of precious topsoil, and many other problems. It is clear we are missing something in our attempt to harness the law of nature for our own purpose. What is that something? We find out in the very first mantra of the Upanishad, the foremost of ancient Indian book of wisdom, known as the Upanishads. Everything in this creation is owned and controlled by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things knowingly well to whom they belong. In nature, we see this principle at work. Nature's arrangement is set up by the Lord. Maintain the birds and the beasts. The elephant eats his 50 kilos per day. The ant eats a few grains. If a man doesn't interfere, the natural balance sustains all creatures. Any agriculturalist will tell you the earth can produce enough food to feed 10 times the present human population. Yet political intrigues and wars, unfair distribution of land, the production of cash crops like tobacco, tea, coffee, instead of food, and erosion due to misuse ensure that millions go hungry, even in wealthy countries like the United States. We must understand the law of nature from the viewpoint of the Supreme Lord, who has created the laws. In his eyes, all earth inhabitants, whether creatures of the land, water, or air, are his sons and daughters. Yet we, the human inhabitants, the most advanced of his creature, treat these sons and daughters with great cruelty, from the practice of animal slaughter to destruction of the rainforest. Is it any wonder that we suffer an unending series of natural disasters, wars, epidemics, famines, and the like? The source of our problem is the desire for sense gratification beyond the consideration of anyone else's rights. These rights are the rights of the child in relation to the father. Every child has the right to share the wealth of his father. So creating a brotherhood of all creatures on the earth depends on understanding the universal fatherhood of God. As we have seen, the Vedic literatures declare that the Supreme Lord owns and controls the entire creation. Not a blade of grass moves without his sanction. He is the complete whole. Then what is our position? Again, we find ourselves in the Vedic literature. Our natural constitutional role is to serve God. He is the supreme enjoyer, and we are meant to take part in his enjoyment through his service to him, not by trying to enjoy separately. He is omnipotent and thus completely independent. Our minute independence is a tiny reflection of his total independence. It is our misuse of that minute independence and our attempt to enjoy separate from him that have resulted in our current predicament. Why do we misuse our independence? Because we are ignorant of our real nature. The first lesson of the Vedic wisdom is that we are not bodies, but rather spirit souls. Many particles of consciousness dwell within the body and animating it. Just as a car is a machine that allows a driver to travel from point A to point B, The body is a machine that allows the spirit soul to act and to experience sensation, thought within the Lord's material nature. When we understand that our true identity as spiritual beings, part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit, God, we understand that we are meant to serve Him just as the hand or the foot serves the whole body. Our problem, however, is that we forget our identity separate from the body and instead misidentify ourselves with it. If a person happens to be born in America, he considers himself American. If he is born in France, he is considered himself a Frenchman, and so on. We also identify ourselves according to our sex, race, creed, social status, etc. But all these qualities apply only to the body, not the soul. Therefore, embracing them as our true identity causes us to forget the Lord and our relationship with Him, and to see ourselves as independent enjoyers of His material nature. The Vedic literature explained that human activity, when devoid of service of the Lord, is governed by a subtle law known as the law of karma. This is the familiar law of action and reaction as it pertains to what we do in this world and the enjoyment or suffering we experience as a result. If I cause pain to another living being, then as surely as the wheel of life turns, I will be forced to suffer similar pain. And if I bring happiness to another, a like pleasure awaits me. At every second, with every breath, our activities in the material world cause enjoyment and suffering. To facilitate this endless action and reaction, there has to be more than just one life. There has to be reincarnation. Until recently, the idea of reincarnation was universally accepted in India and other Eastern countries, have found few adherents in the West. The church abandoned the philosophy of reincarnation centuries ago. This is a long story dating as far back as the history of the early Christian church between 300 AD and 600 AD. Recounting this controversy is not within the scope of this book, but the denial of this important concept has left a void in the worldview of Western people. However, in the last decade or so, many thinkers in the West have begun to take the idea of reincarnation seriously. For example, Dr. Michael Sabom of Emory University Medical School has written a book entitled Recollection of Death, a medical investigation, 1982 in parentheses, which detail his studies confirming the out-of-body experience reported by cardiac arrest patients. Sabom writes, could the mind, which splits apart from the physical brain, be, in essence, the soul, which continues to exist after the final bodily death, according to some religious doctrines? And Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia, in his book 20 cases suggestive of reincarnation, that is in 1966, that book, has documented and verified past life memories in young children. Other studies using such method as hypnotic regression indicate that the idea of reincarnation may soon gain acceptance among mainstream scientists in the West. The Vedic literatures make reincarnation of the soul a central feature in its explanation of human destiny. And the logic is obvious when we consider a simple question like the following. Why is one child born to wealthy parents in the United States, while another is born to starving peasants in Ethiopia? Only the doctrine of karma and reincarnation, reward and punishment carried over many lifetimes, answer this question easily. The laws of nature and infallible justice has been compiled primarily from two sources. The first is a series of talks given on the Sri Isopanishad by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. See the author, page 84. Delivered in Los Angeles in the spring of 1970. These talks provide an illuminating account of how the universe really operates. The second source of Srila Prabhupada's comment translation of the Srimad Bhagavatam from the third canto of this monumental work. We here reproduce chapter 30 titled Descriptions by Lord Capella of Adverse Fruitive Activities. In this section we learn the fate of the sinful soul who transgresses the law of God's nature and incur punishment according to the law of karma. In one of the Upanishads talks, Srila Prabhupada says, if you do good work, you will have so-called enjoyment in your next life, but you will remain bound up in cycle of birth and death. And if you do bad work, then you will have to suffer the sinful reaction and also remain bound up in birth and death. But if you work for Krishna, there are no such reactions, good or bad. And at the time of death, you will return to Krishna. This is the only way to break the bonds of karma. And this is the only way for society as a whole to mitigate the suffering mentioned earlier. While we are in this world, there is no getting rid of suffering altogether. For as the Vedic teaching recognized, this material world is by nature a place of suffering. Ultimately, we are powerless in the midst of a vast array of nature's natural forces. The hope, therefore, is to know and follow the will of the Supreme Lord, the Master of nature. The laws of nature and infallible justice. Only in this way can we transcend the laws of nature, end the cycle of reincarnation, and attain the perfection of life, love of God, and a place in His kingdom. So I hope that was not too hard on you guys, my reading. That was very nice. So thank you for being here, all those who are here. And next time we will do chapter 1, which is, we won't do the whole thing, which is God and the law of karma. And in that chapter, we have, it looks like, this is a pretty good chapter. I'm still on 25. Okay. Well, we'll get through it. So anyway, you guys, thanks for taking the time to be with me. I appreciate you guys. Listening to this book. And if you have any questions, there'll probably be a link below where you can get all your answers. All the questions that you have may be answered, or you will definitely be directed to the right place on how to get those questions answered. Thank you for taking the time to be with me today.